Hey, good morning. This is Meir Valensky with Driving Markets. Welcome to 2022. Let's see what the year has in store for us, and maybe I'll get some of my predictions right. You never know. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank all the listeners and all the clients that have either contributed to this production or contributed to the business that I run. I'd like to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it, and it's not a given when a client comes to give you business, so I try to give back as much as possible in terms of service levels, information and support where needed. Regarding 2022, wow, what do we have in store? So obviously I'm going to have some predictions as far as 2022 are concerned. They are my opinion, so if you do act on them and you make money and I make money and everyone makes money, great. If we don't make money, then please be aware that they are only actual opinions. Okay, so what are the areas that I should be looking at this year? China has got major problems. Their biggest property firm, which is one of the, if not the biggest in the world, is a company called Evergrande. Evergrande missed its debt payment on the 9th of December, and yet no one seems to care a damn. All of these little signs that are coming out from one of the biggest economies, or the second biggest economy in the world, everyone seems to ignore. It reminds me of the 2008 crisis, where the markets and the banks ignored the fact that there were defaults and payments and mortgages were not being paid. They were totally ignored. And then there was a major collapse. So China is in big problems. Evergrande is only one of the problems. I mentioned it earlier last year in 2021, but Evergrande is only one of the problems. They've got other production problems, and they've got major cyclical economic issues that would cause major tidal waves across the world, and yet people are ignoring them. You've got the semiconductor problem, you've got the property crisis, you've got the general production problem, you've got a lot of issues there that are simply being ignored. Production in factories around the world is being stopped because there's not enough semiconductor chips to supply the end product or supply the product with final manufacturing output. As a result of that, you've got factories that are shutting down or reducing their production to accommodate the amount of semiconductor chips that are available. China produces 90%. China and Taiwan produce 90% of semiconductor chips, and this shortage will continue over the next 6 to 7 years. How will the markets cope with that? They haven't yet even taken that into consideration, so be aware of that. Further, you've got to look at is inflation. Inflation is only going up, in my opinion, of course. It's only going up. There was significant sales that went on obviously in the Christmas period, and that will feed into the inflation figures over the January period. Look at inflation, because then you're going to have an impact on interest rates. Interest rates in 2022 are only going up. They're not obviously going to go down. They're only going up, and the market will have to absorb that interest rate rise. If the interest rate rise is too aggressive or more aggressive than anticipated, then markets will fall. Remember, at the moment, markets are not fully valued, they're overvalued. Okay? So you're paying for something well in advance, and you're hoping that the earnings over the next year, 2 years, will match the expectations of what the market has put into the price of those shares. So be very careful. You've got overpriced shares. You've got commodity prices going through the roof. You've got raw materials going through the roof, which is commodity prices. Cost of production, cost of shipping, all of that is at the highest levels ever seen. That will have an impact on prices. Prices is inflation. Inflation will feed through to the central bank's decision to increase interest rates. Once you have increased interest rates, that will impact on the Nasdaq, because that is speculative money on high tech, where companies you invest in that don't produce any profits, and you hope on the idea or the concept that they're going to produce money in the future, which generally doesn't happen. To be aware, 70, 80%, 90% of high-tech companies do not make it. I'm talking about startups, yes? Not established companies. Even established companies, they have a prospective earnings. Their expectation that the earnings is going to be great over the next year, 2 years, is running in the hundreds. That means that the share price is inflated by the hundreds. So just be aware of that. If there is a correction means a downward trend, or correction means the markets go down, there's a bear market, then these prices will be shafted. Just to be absolutely clear, they will be hammered. So if you're buying or going long of stock, be aware that the risk reward may not be worth it. Just be aware of that. If you're in for the very long term, talking about 5 to 10 years, and you can ride out the storm, then great. If you're in for the short term, 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, less than 1 year, then be very, very careful, because you could lose your capital. So my prediction is, in my opinion, that financial markets are overvalued and they're ripe for a significant downturn. I think cryptos will end up going up, especially Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's heading for the 100,000 level, not in one day, so please be aware of that. It's obviously very, very volatile. I think markets are going to go down significantly. I think interest rates are going to go up significantly. I think inflation is going to go higher. It's not such a bad thing, because once all that happens and you take some of the steam out of the market, then there'll be some opportunities there to get involved. Okay, so it's quite a long production. It is my day off. It's a bank holiday in several countries. The UK, it's a bank holiday, that's for sure. So I'd like to wish you all a happy 2022, a significant success going forward. Hopefully that you'll make a few quid or a few dollars on the financial markets. If you have any ideas or any input, I'm always open to ideas and always open to feedback. So you can give me any feedback that you want. You can contact me, as I said, on YouTube, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Instagram, Walensky Mayor. Anyone else that you know that needs a benefit from these videos, send them out. This is Mayor Walensky with Driving Markets. Happy 2022 with a lot of success. All the best.